Yeah, what's good, people? Hope you're well. Big up to everyone that's here. Make sure you hit like and subscribe as you join. Make sure you are part of the 12th man community and that you're hitting those two buttons. They're the most important buttons. They're free, they don't cost you a penny, and they really do so much for the channel. I hope you've enjoyed your weekend. I had a really chilled out day yesterday, which was lovely. Put out a few clips and uploaded some of the latest from some of the panel shows, which, to be fair, I think a lot of you enjoyed, particularly Troops and lead judges. I think a lot of you have watched that. So big up to everyone that's been supporting. Really appreciate all of you. Thank you to all of the mods in the chat. Thank you to all of the members in the chat. If you do want to be a member, you can click join, which is next to like and subscribe. And you can pay a minimal fee to the content for the channel each month, which we're putting out to you. Make sure you're following Match Bingo. QR code is in the top right. Live chat link is in there, and the description. There's also the link for Match Bingo. Make sure you're downloading it. Club World Cup is underway. Everyone's playing the Match Bingo in Club World Cup, and we have some winners. Apparently, it's quite easy to win. So make sure you get involved in that, people. Club World Cup. I haven't watched much of it. I can't lie to you. But from what I understand, it's been fairly entertaining. So do you know what? You go for it, and good luck. I hope we get some winners, particularly Gooners. We haven't had a Gooner that's won yet. Yeah. So please tell me if you've won it. Because I thought there was a Gooner that won, and it turns out he's just a bit of a neutral. So we've had two Liverpool fans, Newcastle fan, who I thought was a Gooner, but apparently is a football fan that has won on Match Bingo. So please make sure that you've downloaded it and that you're playing. It gives you an automatic Match Bingo card and it ticks it off for you. So good luck. Let me know if you win. Big up to everyone that's in the chat. Good to see some of the regulars. Christian in here. Big up to you. Big up to Brad. I hope you're well, bruv. We got Daff in the house. We got Craig. Big up to you, mate. I really want Isak still. Sorry, has to be said. Liverpool, if they get him, do you know what? Please don't sell him to Liverpool. That's all I'm saying. Ahmed, good to see you. JV, J Real One, Bejan. We got Isak, got Raphael, got Cypress Hill. Big up to everyone else that's joining right now. Make sure you smash the like and subscribe button. What we're going to be talking about, Arsenal's transfer target striker may be doing a U-turn. We're going to be talking about the doubt of Sesko now and talk about what might be happening in place of him. We're going to be talking about the names that we want to be seeing at Arsenal in that position. Also going to be talking about the left wing position. There has been some updates on that today. We're going to be talking about Rodrygo, Martinelli. We're also going to be talking about the players that look like they've signed in but won't be announced until July. We're also going to be talking about why that might be in relation to PSR and much more. So please make sure you lock in, hit the likes, hit the subscribes, and let's get into it. We are, of course, going to be talking about the striker. First of all, it does not or will not surprise you that this saga is going to be carrying on. It looks like now Sesko Day, Gyokeres Day, Sesko Day, Gyokeres Day, and it looks like now it might not be a Sesko Day because from what we understand, Arsenal have their doubts now. The Mirror are suggesting that we could back out of the £70 million deal for Sesko because of his wage demands. Now, I'm hearing more on this. I don't think that is a reliable enough source to say that we won't get him. However, it seems reliable through other sources that there are some stumbling blocks in this deal. Now, Arsenal clearly have wanted Sesko for quite some time. When I say Arsenal, I do, of course, mean Mikel Arteta. It looks like he is the guy that wants Benjamin Sesko. Now, I'm not going to start talking about the potential and that why I do or don't want Sesko. I think I've done that enough, right? No one's going to be tuning in to find out what I believe is the best attributes of Benjamin Sesko. For me, at 22, he's got a lot to prove. He'd not be the guy. But if we actually believe in what we're hearing, he wants an unbelievable amount of money a week, which is what he's going to demand because we're the stupid idiots who put Havertz on 290 a week. Right. So first of all, he's going to want wages that match that because he's coming in as the striker and he's thinking, well, if Jesus is on 265 and Kai Havertz is on 290, then I want 250 at the bare minimum. So that's the first stumbling block. The other stumbling block from what we understand is that he wants a release clause put in his contract. So we're going to be bringing this 22-year-old player that's unproven in the Premier League in. He's got a high ceiling and potential and rah. He's going to ask for an amazing amount of money a week. He's probably not guaranteed to play every week because obviously Havertz is going to be seen by Arteta as the guy. And he also wants a release clause. Why would you want a release clause coming to Arsenal? There's only one reason why. Because he sees us as a stepping stone club. And he thinks one day I could be the Bayern Munich centre forward. One day I could play for Barcelona. One day I might even go to PSG or Real Madrid. That's what he's looking at. All bigger clubs than Arsenal. I'm not going to deny and be deluded enough to think they're not bigger than Arsenal, right? I don't want my striker coming to a club believing that he'll be here for a couple of years before he goes. Now, first of all, he's got serious arrogance about him if he believes he's that good, yeah? But it looks like he's using us to get a bigger move if he wants a release clause. Now, if you say to him the release clause is 200 mil, fair play. But he's probably going to want a release clause of about 80 or 90 mil, isn't he? So he can decide in a couple of years whether he fancies going elsewhere. Now, are Arsenal a stepping stone club? I think we have been in the past. I've got to be honest, I think we have been. When I was growing up, we never were. Players that left Arsenal in the 90s, trust me, they never went on to do unbelievable things. Emmanuel Petit regretted leaving. Mark Overmars didn't do much. Anelka had, 7 clubs after Arsenal and said he would have regretted it. Then you move into the Emirates era and you can list a whole reel of names that has used Arsenal as a stepping stone. Cesc Fabregas ended up going to Barcelona. Robin van Persie went to Manchester United. Alexis Sanchez, likewise. We had, 4 or 5 players that went to Manchester City. Toure, Adebayor, Clichy, Sagna, Nasri. So unfortunately, we have been a bit of a stepping stone club. There's been players in the Arteta era that has gone on, not to do better things, but they've actually gone on and left and won stuff. They've actually won stuff. Olivier Giroud has won everything since he's left Arsenal, to be fair. There's players that have gone on to do bigger and better things, even at clubs that perhaps they didn't expect to. Did Kolasinac expect to go leave Arsenal and win a bloody Europa League with Atalanta? Aubameyang's winning trophies over in Saudi. You've got Xhaka, who won almost an invincible treble at Bayer Leverkusen. So Arsenal have been seen as not just a stepping stone club, but a club that you leave and you go and win stuff. Ashley Cole obviously has been mentioned in the chat. We don't want to be turning into a club that you come to for a couple of years, play some nice football, and then leave and go and win everything. That ain't what I want to be hearing. That ain't what I want to be seeing. So Sesko, to be fair to him, at 22, has probably grown up around that era, watching Arsenal, hearing about Arsenal and thinking, well, they don't really win titles or Champions Leagues. They're just a good club to come and play for. They're in London. Nice big club, good fan base. And then you go on to Real Madrid and win stuff, or Barcelona and win stuff. Maybe that's what Sesko is thinking. And even if you believe that's right or wrong, as a Gooner or as a rival fan, there might be rival fans thinking, well, he's right. Arsenal are crap. They don't win anything. Cool. Whether you believe that's right or wrong doesn't mean I want people like that. I do not want people like that at the club who are coming in, seeing us as a stepping stone, and in 2 years' time, boom. Basically, what he's seeing, is he is saying, I want to be a Haaland. I want to go to a Dortmund-type club like Arsenal and one day go and play at the very top level. Nah, sorry, man. That ain't for me. I don't want to be seeing that from this guy. So I'll be more than happy if we have made a U-turn now. I'll be more than happy if we've been put in a scenario where now we are thinking, maybe we're thinking twice, 3 times, 4 times about this move. What is frustrating is that we still ain't got a clue. This is what makes me laugh, is that we are towards the end of June. In fact, next week it is July, right? What are we on now? Yeah, literally next Monday is 30th. Yeah, towards the end of June, right? So we've got just over a week left of this month to go, and we still don't know what striker we're in for. Now, I've got nothing wrong with Arsenal saying, we want to do our business in July because PSR, because players are on holiday, because pre-season don't start till cool. But plan who you want so that on the 1st of July, I see Kepa and Zubimendi walk through the door alongside Gyokeres, alongside Eze, alongside Morgan Rogers, alongside Rodrygo, alongside whoever the hell we're getting. That's what I want to be seeing. 4 or 5 players coming in within, a 10-day period. Because you can guarantee we'll get to the 8th of July and we would have probably announced Zubimendi, who we pretty much signed in the winter, from what we understand. I need to be seeing a hell of a lot more. Big up to DJ Dens. Big up to Sophie. All of you mods. Bradley, all of you guys. Big up to DJ on the congrats of 44K, which I didn't actually realize we'd hit until yesterday. So big up for that. Only now 6,000 away from, of course, the big 5-0. Let's make sure we hit like and subscribe, people. There's over 1,000 people in here. Unfortunately, we haven't got anywhere near the amount of likes that we need. We haven't even hit 200. Hit the like and subscribe button. It's only 2 buttons that are absolutely free, and it will get the channel to 50K. And I want to try and get to 500 likes. Let's do this. Oregon Goon says that we've been a stepping stone club since 2007. Bruv, you're absolutely right. I've got to be honest. You're absolutely right. And that has been under the Cronkies' reign. That has been under the Cronkies' reign. Let that sink in, people. Chaitanya says we need to go for either Eze or Rodgers, with Partey potentially leaving. This offers more rotation in the midfield with Rice and Zubimendi as the sixes and keeps Ødegaard in check. I think either of those or both of those would be unbelievable signings, but I only see them happening if we don't get a Rodrygo alongside it, even though I would want Rodrygo as well, because I actually do believe we need a box-to-box midfielder and a number 10 if Partey goes. More on that very soon. Big up to you, Chaitanya. I think they'd be quality signings, Eze and Rodgers. I love both of them. I think they're excellent. And the thing is, Turkish was right when he said this. They wouldn't be spine-tingling signings or goosebump signings, but they would definitely be good squad players that can give you a proper box-to-box player that Rice can rotate with, a proper attacking midfielder that Ødegaard can rotate with. We don't have either of those at the moment. We've got Marino and Nwaneri, who are very, very good squad players, but nothing to actually give you a kind of lift to think, wow, Arsenal are ready to go win the title now. I think Ethan's going to be a baller one day, but I'm not sure we're ready to be giving him 25, 30 games a season at this level to say go win the title. I think we're putting a lot of pressure on the lad, really, in my opinion. And I don't want to be rushing Ethan because I think he's a baller. I don't want to be putting him, in the deep end. Particularly not with Max Dowman either. I know Lewis-Skelly has made it his own, but it's different making left back your own than attacking midfielder. Yeah. Trying to be a Nigel Winterburn is or a Ashley Cole is a lot easier than trying to be a Dennis Bergkamp or a Thierry Henry. Not that we are going to get to that level to have to win the league, but you get my drift. 1.175 in here, people. 1,175 people in here. Let's get 500 likes. We can do it. Come on. Okay. Sesko. Means it's got to be Gyokeres then, right? Means it's got to be. People are talking about Ollie Watkins. People are talking about how it might not be, over for Isak. I think we're clutching, if I'm honest, with Isak. I also think that we are in a position that we're kind of praying so badly that if it isn't Sesko, it's Gyokeres. Some people are believing that it might actually be, potentially somebody that we haven't looked at yet or spoken about yet. Not Watkins, but maybe we're looking, there was Jared Bowen mentioned earlier. Look, I don't want them players coming in the Premier League, unless it's Isak, of course, that are going to be starters. But Bowen would be a brilliant signing for us squad player-wise. João Pedro or Mateta or Vissa or all these names in the Premier League. Cool. I'm happy to bring them in. Watkins, another one. But they've got to be alongside the main guy, not to be the main guy. None of those guys are winning Arsenal the league, people. Yeah? They're not. They're just not. Nick says, Arteta's the gift that keeps on giving. Well, right now, I need to see Berta at work as well. Because as much as I've been massive pro and brilliant signing, I need to see him do the work. It's okay with all the talk. Let's see the action. It isn't just Arteta this window. Not for me. The guy's been brought in to do a job. We've got to be looking at that now. We have to be. So, look, a lot of people are talking about Sesko and Gyokeres. Well, if it isn't Sesko, let's hope that it is Gyokeres. There's some reports, very loose rumours, suggesting that we're ready in a bid for Victor Gyokeres, and it looks like he's the one that we're turning our target to now. CNN in Portugal are saying that we're getting ready to submit a bid for Gyokeres. Arteta is eager to have the striker join the squad ahead of the pre-season tour of Asia in July. Is he giving up now? Has he given up on Sesko? Has he said, you know what, don't want Sesko. He wants a release clause. He's not the guy for Arsenal. We need to be looking at a different target. There's a lot of rumours and a lot of culmination of what could be happening here. There could be a scenario one where they're genuinely not sure about who they want. I'd love to say it isn't this scenario, but it wouldn't surprise me at Arsenal. There is the other scenario that Berta's looking towards Gyokeres and Arteta's looking towards Sesko. There's also the scenario that maybe Arteta is now looking towards Gyokeres because he's had enough of Sesko. There's been some reports suggesting that Arteta has not been happy with the way that Sesko's attitude has been towards him wanting a release clause, demands of wages, demands of minutes. He's not happy that he could in some games be second fiddle to Havertz. Rah, rah, rah. There's also the scenario, and the Newcastle fans in the chat won't like me saying this, but I'll say it anyway because it's what information has been suggested, is that Arsenal aren't ready to go in for Gyokeres or Sesko or Watkins or anybody yet until they understand the scenario and situation of Isak, particularly in Liverpool's situation. What they don't, I believe, want to do is go and sign Gyokeres, get him through the door, and then Liverpool go, we'll have Isak, and Newcastle go, cool, he's 150 million. Cool, there he is. That's what I don't think they want to do either. So I don't know what's going on with the striker situation, but I need to see something happen. Bradley, big up to you. Dan, has Hook spoke to Flashboy about Gyokeres recently? I hope so. Flashboy was in here the other day. Big up to him. Look, I don't know the scenarios. I've heard so much about this Gyokeres thing. Hooks wants Gyokeres. He says, my boy Flashboy told me we're getting Gyokeres. Christian's friend meets Berta. Berta says, you've got him, and spuds him. Still no news, though. Still no news. Now, if Alexander Isak is not for sale, and I'm sure the Newcastle fans in the chat, Sophie, Craig, the others, will all say that he's not, then we need to go in for one of these guys and get it done. Liverpool have to go in for Ekitike. Arsenal have to go in for Gyokeres. Maybe Liverpool fancy Sesko. But I hope that Gyokeres is now the priority. And I hope that he is now the target if Isak's unavailable. Because the order, let's be real, in my opinion anyway, right? This is certainly the opinion that I have anyway. The opinion that many have, I think, but certainly for me. When we look at strikers at Arsenal in order of priority, Isak should be the number one target. Gyokeres for me should be number two. Alvarez and Osimhen should be ahead of the likes of Ekitike and Sesko. That's the way that I see it. But unfortunately for Arsenal, what we've done is, for whatever reason, decided to go straight in for Sesko as being the target. Now, I understand that some people are saying that he might suit us better. He's a better fit. I don't know what that means. But, you know, he's scoring less goals than Gyokeres, but he's a better fit than Arsenal for Arsenal. If that's what you think, that's the guy you want, cool. It's all good. But I don't know why Sesko is ahead of some of the others. I don't know how Sesko can be ahead of Osimhen or Julian Alvarez or Gyokeres or Isak. I just don't know how people want Sesko ahead of... I've heard some people say they want Sesko ahead of Isak. What? Like, we make out like Sesko is the next Zlatan or the next Haaland or he's going to be a Lewandowski. We don't know this. How many times have we said that this player's got the potential to be a Thierry Henry? They never have been. They ain't going to be another Thierry Henry. Yeah? This player looks like R9 Ronaldo. They ain't going to be another R9, people. Look at this guy. He's balling out like Ronaldinho. They ain't going to be another Ronaldinho. Why do we always compare these players? And I've heard Sesko being compared to Isak. Isak was doing that for Real Sociedad. His numbers weren't that great. He's nothing like Isak. Oh, he's like Zlatan. Trust me. What Zlatan's doing is mad. Yeah. And particularly at his age of what he was doing. Yeah, at 22, Zlatan looked like he was going to be exactly what he become. Haaland. Don't compare Sesko to Haaland. Look at the numbers. Look at what Haaland was doing at Salzburg compared to him. Look at what Haaland was doing at Molde. Look at what Haaland was doing at Dortmund. And then you look at Gyokeres and Sesko comparisons. And I'm like, Gyokeres has left him dead in the water in terms of numbers. And that's what we need, a bagsman. I don't want someone drifting out to the left and drifting out to the right. Havertz does that. I don't want someone coming into the Arsenal setup to get us 15 goals. I want an absolute bagsman that's going to get us 25 to 30. And if that's difficult to find, go and find it, because you're going to have to. You're going to have to go and get a striker that comes in and does better than what Havertz did. You've got to go and find it somehow. That's what I'm going to be asking. That striker needs to come in and deliver big time at Arsenal. I don't want to see him come in and get 10 goals. Jesus did that. I don't want to see him come in and get 15. Trossard and Havertz did that. This guy's got to get a minimum of 20 Premier League goals to be seen as a success that Arsenal can go and win the Premier League, because 15 weren't enough for Havertz. Yes, of course, the other players need to do their thing as well. If he gets 30 goals and the rest of us get dried up with like 5 or 6, then of course we're going to struggle to win the league still. So Odegaard's got to get 10, 15. Martinelli, if he stays on the left, has got to get 10, 15. If we replace Martinelli, they've got to get 10, 15 goals. Saka's got to continue with his 30 goals and assists that he's been getting consistently in the last couple of seasons. And that's got to be on top of the 25, 30 goal season striker that we get. That's just the way it is at Arsenal right now. So, look, that's where I'm at. I think there's been drama over who should be coming in for quite some time. I'm actually bored of the Sesko Gyokeres debate. It feels like we're going around in circles. I don't think there's anybody that is adamant we don't need a striker. I haven't heard anybody say Arsenal don't need a centre forward, or that Arsenal only need a left-hand side player. I think everybody agrees we need both. There needs to be an upgrade to the left wing, and there needs to be a striker that comes in and bags us 25 goals. You can talk about other positions, which we're going to do, and we have been continuing to do. Kepa looks like he's coming in. Harto's wanted in the defence. Zubamendi's coming in at centre mid. We're talking about potentially looking at another midfielder, a winger, a striker. These are players we absolutely need, but they need to come in and be ready. I don't want to see lined up at the start of the season Havertz up top, Martinelli and Saka on the wings. Nothing in midfield other than what we believe it's going to be. No backup whatsoever on the bench. Ethan is the only player we want to bring on. Nothing like that can be happening now. Yeah? Nothing like that can be happening. If I'm looking at the bench and Martinelli and Havertz are on it, cool. If I'm looking at the bench and Ethan's one that you look at and think, oh, actually, I would want to bring him on, but we're probably using him in the last sort of 20 minutes to lift the game. We're not bringing him on to try and win us it. He was the only option at PSG that I would have bought on, by the way. We bought on Ben White and Calafiori. Come on, man. Like, real talk. What are we doing? Trying to win the game. We're losing the game on aggregate. We need a couple of goals and we're bringing on fullbacks because our bench is a disgrace. And half of that bench, by the way, that was kids. Butler, Oyadeji, Henry Francis. What was his name? Kawa, was it? They've all gone. They've all gone. They've all gone. So, I don't know. It's interesting to see what happens. 1.6K in the building. Big up to every single one of you. Hit the like and subscribe. We've only got 330 likes. Let's get that up to 500 ASAP, please, people. Make sure you scan the QR code for Match Bingo or click in the live chat to the link. And make sure you get your cards for this evening's games in the Club World Cup. And let me know if you win money. Big up to you guys. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about some of the stuff that we've been hearing on the left-hand side, because we don't just need a striker, as been mentioned. We also need a left winger. And there's news and reports today that Gabriel Martinelli might be available. Now, I don't know what the scenario is in terms of his contract, but I will say this. Of all of the players that have a contract with 2 years left, Gabriel Martinelli, I believe, is seen as the least of its priorities. Not because he wants to be gone and not because they want to sell him, because he's actually got a year that we can give as an option. So he's got another option after that where he can extend. So you've obviously got Saka, who we want to sign up ASAP. You've obviously got Saliba that you want to sign up ASAP. And you've obviously got Gabriel, who signed a new long-term deal at Arsenal. The other players at the moment that we need to be concentrating on are Partey, Trossard, and Gabriel Martinelli. Partey, more on him soon. Trossard offered a new contract, but it's been rejected. Martinelli not offered a new contract yet. Now, that could be interesting for a number of reasons. It could be that they don't see it as a priority yet because they believe that he's going to stay, or they believe that he's got time because he's got that extra year that he's got an option for. It could be that they're going to sell him, or it could be that he actually does want to find a new challenge. Now, I'll say this, and I said this with Judges earlier. We both agreed. We'd be upset if Martinelli went and it wasn't actually upgraded upon. Do you know, like when Granit Xhaka went and we were like, yeah, no problem. Done good for the last 18 months, but for the 7 years, it ain't been successful. Let's go and upgrade him. We would be better off if we kept Granit Xhaka because we've never upgraded on that position. Then you've got the scenario of Martinelli where I'm thinking, if you sold him and bought in Semenyo or Mitoma, are we actually upgrading on Martinelli? I don't think that we are. I don't. Now, people are saying that there could be an opportunity for him to go. Big up to Hannah. Hope you're well, Han. Big up to Hannah in the chat. She says, would you let Martinelli go for 50 million? I actually think we could get more for him than that. And I know people might laugh, but when I'm looking at the other players around the Premier League that are being sold, Semenyo, they reckon, would go for that. Brian Mbeumo apparently is more expensive than that. You've got players like Kudus that are going for more than that. Mitoma apparently could be available for a mad fee. You've got Cunha that went, I believe, for over 60 to Manchester United, which means that at 24 years old, a Brazilian international in Martinelli that has a ceiling that's still quite high, I think you've got to be pushing towards 65, 70 if Cunha is that. Because Cunha's had one good year at Wolves. Martinelli's had a few good seasons at Arsenal now. And there's still development with a 24-year-old. So I think if he was to come in for Bayern Munich really were serious and they started at 60 and we push with some add-ons closer to 70 with appearance fees and that, I think they might accept it. But I don't think we'll be accepting 35s, 45s or 50s. I think it might have to be more than that. But I'm no problem when he's coming, when he's leaving and we're bringing in somebody like Rodrygo. Bayern Munich, of course, will look at him because there's obviously the potential for the likes of Nico Williams, who they wanted. Looks like he's going to Barcelona. Then you've obviously got the kind of scenario of Leroy Sané leaving, Coleman leaving. I think Gnabry's still just about there. But other than Elise, they're obviously looking at the left-hand side thinking who's going to be playing there. So I think that they are clearly in the market for a left winger. I know they've been linked with Luis Diaz. I know they were linked with Nico Williams. And now they're being linked with Gabriel Martinelli. And it looks as though Nico Williams is off to Barcelona. Luis Diaz, where is he going? Because Barcelona looked favourites to get him. But now it looks like Nico Williams is the guy. If Luis Diaz is going to go, there's going to be left wingers that are going to be wanted. The left wing market isn't that great, but there's so many clubs that want a left winger. Chelsea are linked with Jamie Gittins. Anthony Gordon is being linked with Liverpool. Arsenal are being linked with Rodrygo. There's obviously the scenario of, is Lookman going to look for another club? Is there a chance that Rafael Leao could be leaving? Is there a chance that some of the other players and names that have been kind of Premier League proven that are going to be leaving? Semenyo, Eze, Mitoma, Mbeumo, Kudus. I know they're more right-hand sided, but can play left. There's not many. There's not many out there. There really ain't. Like that you look at and think, wow, like get them in. Get them in. That's the way I see it. So this Martinelli one, watch this space. If we do need to sell, I believe it will be Martinelli that could be the casualty. But we'll see. Nick said there's zero chance that Isak leaves this summer for anyone. Marmoush scored more goals than Sesko last season. He left Germany in January. That is facts. That is actually facts. And if you actually look at the list of players that outscored him in the Bundesliga, that isn't very impressive. I think Patrick Schick got more goals than him. Nobody wants him. In the Premier League, I think Mateta, João Pedro, Isak, Wood, most of the Mateta, all these players actually got more goals than Sesko and in a better league in the Premier League. So I don't know why we're in a position, to be honest, to be begging for Sesko to come. But look, we've moved from that. We're on the left wing position. And it does look like Gabriel Martinelli could be one that, Arsenal look to sell if the right money comes in. Now, if it is Bayern Munich that want him, I think he'd fit well there. If I'm looking at the benefit of Gabriel Martinelli and not thinking of me being selfish and wanting to keep him, I personally would let Trossard go out of the two because I think at the age of 31, 2 years left on his deal. Some are saying just let him go on a free when he gets to 33, which we could do, to be fair. Others are saying get him go to Saudi, get 35 million. We've got JV, who's clearly a Bayern Munich fan, saying, nah, not a fan. Let me know, JV23, if you fancy Martinelli and how much you'd be willing to pay for him. Because I think he'd do well there. I think he would. I think he'd do well under a different manager. I've got to be honest. I think what Martinelli had at 17, 18 was raw talent. He scored 10 goals under Emery in the number 9 position. We've never seen him play there again other than a handful of times. We're in a position where one season he gets 15 goals when Arsenal was scintillating to watch. And since we've gone to this boring sideways and backwards tactics, funny enough, his game and development has stalled. So for me, I think he could be a phenomenal talent for someone. Jurgen Klopp doesn't usually look at players like that and say those things at that age unless he believes it. So let's see where we go. But if he does go, it means we need someone. And I think we obviously know who we want, right? There's a lot of people that are shouting his name. There's people that really want to see it. I would be one that would really like to see it. And I'm, of course, talking about Rodrygo. Big fan of him. Very interesting that last night he was on the bench. Did not play for Real Madrid. Brahim Diaz played ahead of him. Gyokeres played ahead of him. Obviously, Mbappe's out at the moment. Vinny Jr. is there, but Mbappe being out, you'd like to think Rodrygo would be the starter. He was not there. Now, I don't know if that means he's leaving. I don't know if it means that Xabi Alonso's given him time, rest, whatever it be, but he didn't play, and that was, for me, very interesting. I don't know that he wants to leave Real Madrid. I don't know what that conversation has looked like, but you'd probably suggest that if things were looking rosy for him, he would have started on the left-hand side last night. Or definitely, at the bare minimum, the right-hand side. For him to be on the bench and left out, it's a bit of a strange one for me. Apparently, Rodrygo remains a top priority for Arsenal. It now remains to be seen whether they can progress on it and get encouragement or have to look elsewhere. Real Madrid would demand in excess of 70 million, and there's belief that they may be willing to do business. Now, a few things there. It's come from John Cross. Some people say he's reliable. Some people say he's not. Again, I don't go into that. But if he's a top priority for Arsenal, we should be willing to put anything down for this guy. 24 years old. Proven at the highest of levels. Brazilian international. Has won everything with Real Madrid. Has still potential to do something. I think for me, he could be the marquee signing that Arteta could finally make. He could be the Ozil, the Sanchez, the Aubameyang type signing that we have craved for so long now. 70 million is cheap for me. I don't think we're getting him for that. I think they'll push as close to 100 million euros as they can, which is around about 80 to 85 million. I think that is probably what's going to be needed to get him across the line. Let's do it. Let's do it. He would be a phenomenal signing for Arsenal. Let's say we go for Gyokeres, which looks like the priority now. We've got Saka on the right, Gyokeres through the middle, Rodrygo on the left. That is enough to frighten any team in the Premier League or across Europe. That front three would absolutely bang. Gyokeres would be banging them in. Saka's doing his thing. Saka's game will improve because he's got a target man who can actually put the ball in the back of the net as opposed to Havertz or Jesus. Rodrygo is definitely better than Martinelli, albeit his goals and assists might not actually prove that. Over the last few years, I believe Martinelli's actually scored as many, if not more than Rodrygo in the last few. But it's not just about goals and assists. It's about the creativity. It's about the build-up play. It's about, what's that word everyone loves? The pre-assists. It's about play, right? And Rodrygo is a baller. I don't care what anyone says. In fact, let's actually compare the stats right now. I don't actually know how many goals and assists that Rodrygo's got in the last few in comparison to Martinelli, but let's do that because I'm a fan of Martinelli, as people know. I like him and I would keep him. So the stats of Rodrygo and the stats of Martinelli, let's look at it. Let's take a look at it now because there is going to be a lot of people that will be questioning it. There's going to be a lot that will be like, so what do you make of Rodrygo's stats in comparison to, Martinelli? Let's take a look. Let's go for the last 3 years, right? From 2022 to 23, because they're young. So they'd be 20 to 21 years old here, right? 34 games, 9 goals, 8 assists. 34 games, 10 goals, 5 assists. And 30 games, 6 goals, 5 assists. So we're looking there at 17 goals and assists, 15 goals and assists, 11 goals and assists, right? Martinelli, his stats for Arsenal in the last 3 years have been 15 goals, 5 assists, 6 goals, 4 assists, 8 goals, 4 assists. So it has been very similar. There ain't that many difference there, right? There ain't much of a difference. People will say, one's so much better than the other. When the goals and assists come out, that's why goal is not just about goals and assists. Because for me, when I look at it, what Rodrygo's done has been impressive. This would be an excellent signing. It has to be said. He looks like an excellent player, right? Excellent player. So just going on the season just gone, 6 goals, 5 assists. Martinelli, 8 goals, 4 assists. So Martinelli got 1 more goal and assist more. Previous season, he got 10. Rodrygo got 15. Martinelli, previous season, he got 20. And Rodrygo got 17. So we're very, very similar in terms of goals and assists. But I think the technical ability, for me, is better for Rodrygo. And it's not that Martinelli isn't technically gifted, but there's a reason that Rodrygo is playing at his level. Now, one thing I will say as well, Ozil, Sanchez, Aubameyang didn't leave because they weren't good enough. They left because there was a domino effect at their club. So if you remember, Barcelona were looking at Fabregas, I think that year, might have been the season after, and they had a couple of scenarios where Sanchez was being told, yeah, it's probably not going to work for you here. Obviously, Ozil, Gareth Bale went there. And then Aubameyang, he just needed to get to Arsenal because it was a much better scenario. And I think Sven Mislintat, to be fair, had that. So, look, I personally feel he'd be a brilliant signing. I really do. Hannah says, Dan, the problem always been the manager, in my opinion. You guys will see it next season again. I hate to say that you're right, but I think you're right, Han. And I hope you're wrong. That's my opinion as well. I don't think the manager's got it. In terms of, look, he can get us Champions League football, but I want more than that. And I struggle to understand when Arteta's going to get us across the line. It has to be this season, otherwise he has to go for me. So that's what it is. So that's Rodrygo. Links are very strong that he is one that we're looking at. But I don't know how likely it is that we get him. I've got to be honest. I don't know how likely it is. I don't know if it's one. If I had to say to you out of 10, what's the likelihood of him coming to Arsenal? I'd probably give it a 6 because I think it's just above average that we get him, just above half that we get him because we want him. The big question mark is, does he want us? Is he available from Real Madrid? They're the two big question marks. So I won't be able to give it more than a 5 or a 6 in terms of probability. So that's where I'm at, man. That's where I'm at. Be interesting to see what happens. It really will. Does he want to leave? Does Real Madrid want to sell him? They're the big question marks for me. So be interesting. If it isn't going to be him, then who is it going to be? Well, today there's links away with Barcola. However, doesn't look like he's for sale. Now, I actually don't mind Barcola. Him and Lookman would be two that I would absolutely take if it wasn't to be Rodrygo. Rafael Leao is another one that I've got question marks about, and some of the other names, including Nico Williams, I had question marks about. But Barcola looks like he's got an unbelievable amount of potential, and he's a young kid. However, it looks like a few hours ago, L'Equipe has suggested that although Arsenal, Chelsea and Bayern Munich have made approaches for Barcola, PSG have closed the door on his departure. Barcola is not unhappy with his situation at PSG and he wishes to remain at the club. So it looks like this one's been poo-pooed, if I'm honest. Luis Enrique is not going to be wanting to sell him or Doué because they've just won everything there is to win. They're going to be happy at PSG. There might be a little bit of a kind of movement with a couple of players. Maybe there's some that want to move away because they've won everything there. But I've got to be honest. I don't see this one happening. And I don't know why they'd want to sell, personally. When you've got Doué and Barcola on the left, that's pretty good depth. Pretty good. I can understand maybe Gonzalo Ramos wanting to move because he can't get in the team. And there might be a couple of other players that people are like, yeah, you need to get out of there. But I don't think it'll be him. I don't think it'll be him. So I don't know who it'll be if it isn't Rodrygo. Maybe it's an Eze. Maybe it's a Lookman. But at the moment, it doesn't look like it's Barcola. That's for sure. Thomas Partey news next. Oh, what's happening with Thomas Partey? Why does everything happen so slowly at Arsenal? Why does no one understand what's going on for ages and ages and ages at this club? It really frustrates the life out of me, if I'm honest. But the news is that Thomas Partey, it isn't quite over yet. Apparently, he's going to be holding face-to-face talks with Mikel Arteta this week. Arsenal will not increase their contract offer to Partey. However, the offer is still on the table. He has not rejected it. As it stands, it is 90% that Partey will leave Arsenal. Look, we all know what's happened. Arsenal have offered him a new contract. It's on less money than he's on now. He's asked for the money he's on now. We've said no, so he's going to go. It's quite simple. He's going to be gone. I don't think that we're keeping him because the money situation. And I don't know why, if I'm honest, we're not keeping him. Because if he's on 250 a week, great. Because Jesus and Havertz are on more than that. This guy's better than Jesus and Havertz. He's our best number 6. He's the best midfielder that we've got. And if he goes, we're going to need to bring in somebody else. And if I said to you, we've got Partey, Jorginho and Rice, or we've got Zubimendi, Rice and Agomi, who are you taking? You're taking Jorginho, Partey and Rice. It's perfect. You've got Partey and Rice as your first team. Jorginho is your backup. Now you've got Zubimendi and Rice, and then Agome as cover. We've weakened our midfield, in my opinion. But if I said to you, we've got Zubimendi, Partey and Rice, you'd go, wow, we've strengthened it. Jorginho, Partey and Rice, Zubimendi, Partey and Rice. Zubimendi, Partey and Rice is brilliant. It strengthened it. So I can totally appreciate that Zubimendi's an upgrade on Jorginho. But if you're losing Partey, you've now got to go and get a Partey replacement. And that is difficult to get. Throw some names in the chat for players that are on Partey's level in defensive midfield. Or players that are better than Thomas Partey. You ain't going to find many. You are not going to find many. You can shout Rodri, he ain't coming. You can shout Fabian Ruiz, he ain't coming. If you want to go down the Pedri and Vitinha road, then fair play, but they're not really holding midfielders. Baleba, Adam Wharton, there ain't many. There ain't many. So, Atalanta, no, he's not better than Partey, the Atalanta guy, Ederson, I don't think. Tonali, good shout. Adam Wharton, Baleba. Like, we're struggling, basically. Point proven. We're trying to upgrade our midfield and we're getting rid of Partey. I can't believe it. I honestly can't believe that. I think it's mad. Camavinga, I saw links very loosely there yesterday that we were linked with him again. I can't see that happening. I just can't. The only way that happens is if they sign Zubimendi. But it looks like he's done and he's at Arsenal. So that's where I'm at. So Partey for me, if you're letting him go, cool. But you better be bringing in Camavinga and Zubimendi. Not, we'll let him go and we'll just have Zubimendi on his own. And Rice can cover. So if we have Zubimendi and Rice can cover, we've got Rice who's just been sent off and Zubimendi's just got an injury. Who plays holding midfield? Marino? Ben White? Timber? This is how easily it can change, by the way, people. So we've got to bring someone else in, ain't we? Honestly, it's crazy for me. Crazy. But there we go. Lokonga, someone said. God, can you believe we've still got this guy? My word. This Lucien Ngome, by the way, played alongside Lokonga for Seville. And impressed, apparently. Let's talk about Zinchenko, because this player is being linked with a move away. It looks for me like Zinchenko could be going somewhere. And AC Milan is where apparently he's appreciated. But the problem we've got is wages. He's on 150k a week because us numbskulls have put him on that much when he was only on 20k a week at Man City. The AC Milan sporting director, Tar, has held talks with the reps of Zinchenko. Milan appreciate the player and they could close a deal for a figure of under 20 million euros. The only obstacle would be Zinchenko's high wages. He is reasoning with a wage cut. There's so much that stinks about this deal, man. So much that stinks about it. The guy was brought in as a left back who could invert. He had a good season for 1 year. Then people found him out. He went into midfield a couple of times this season and looked okay. And I'm sure he could play there somewhere for a good club. But because he's on ridiculous wages, we can't get anything more than between 10 and 15 million euros, which is around about 10 million pounds, I think. So we've bought this player for 27 million and we're going to sell him for about 10 at the age of 27, 28. This is poor business. So poor. It has not worked out to be a good signing. And he has now gone to AC Milan and we're going to have to say to him, give us 8 million so you can afford his wages. Because really he should be on about 50 or 60k, Zinchenko. When he left Manchester City to Arsenal was on 20k, we should have said, I tell you what, we'll double it. We'll give you 45 and then it will go up to 50 or go up to 60 with bonuses. But unfortunately, what we decided to do was go, you want to come to London? Not really. I'll give you 90k. Maybe. Give you 150. Sold. That's what's happened. And now AC Milan can't afford him. Which is why I think what Berta should be doing is going over to Saudi and saying, look, fancy some of our players because they're on mad wages, but you can have them. That's what I think. It's been poor business, unfortunately. It hasn't worked out. And I hope he does well at AC Milan because I genuinely think he's a good guy and I like him. But I just don't like him defensively. I think technically gifted on the ball, yes. I think he's good in midfield. But I can't say that he's been a good signing because he hasn't taken us across the line. He's wanting to be sold after a season that we had him because last season it just weren't happening. It just weren't. It just weren't. So that's where I'm at with Zinchenko. Obviously, there's more Rodrygo chat. Berta's been doing a lot of work in the background on a deal for Rodrygo in recent weeks, attempting to understand the makeup of a potential transfer, and preliminary talks have taken place with the players' reps. It's understood that Madrid's hierarchy have made it clear that should they be willing to sell, they'll be realistic with their valuation and accept around £70 million, even if they think he could be worth closer to 100. Arsenal are open to Rodrygo taking a spot amongst their highest earners, even if new deals for Saliba and Saka break the 300k a week threshold. That's come from Graham Bailey. Now, it makes sense to me that it would be between 70 and 100 mil that he's going to be wanting to go for. Sounds like Real Madrid may have given up on the fact that Rodrygo wants to stay at Real Madrid at right wing and that he wants to go play left wing for the Arsenal. Let's hope so. But I still have a little bit of a question mark about how likely this one is that it's going to be happening. That's just me. That's just the way I am. So that's going to be quite interesting. Where are we? There we go. So that was a few hours ago. Andrea Berta doing a lot of work apparently in the background for Rodrygo's deal. Look, Andrea, if you can bring him in, it would be an incredible signing. I really mean that, people. I really mean that. We get him in, we bring in Rodrygo. I think it's a phenomenal signing. Absolutely phenomenal signing. But long way to go. Let's take a look at the next breaking news from Miguel Delaney. This is 10 minutes ago. And this is the breaking news. Here we go. Sesko. There's still a €10 million gap between Arsenal and Leipzig. Oh my God. Are we actually for real here? €10 million. I mean, I know they say don't believe everything you read, but what the hell is this? There's still a €10 million gap between not €100 million or a €60 million or a €35 million, 10 million whole euros, which is nothing in this football day and age, right? So there's still a €10 million gap between Arsenal and Leipzig on Benjamin Sesko. That has nevertheless developed into a game of chicken. I mean, this is pathetic, isn't it? As the two clubs seek to get the best possible deal, Arsenal have been seeking to do a deal on installments. Funny that. It currently comes to around €70 million. Oh, my word. I'm getting bored of this. I'm getting so bored of this. So bored. Move away. Yeah? Move away from this guy. I'm sick and tired of having this. We're this far away. We're that far away. This is just madness. Big up to my guy, Sean, man. Spurs Talk Show. Hi, Dan, mate. Massive congrats on the growth of your channel. Sensational stuff, bud. Listen, man, we need to collab again, bruv. Make sure you're following Spurs Talk Show. For a Spurs fan, he's one of the real ones. He's a good lad. So let's make sure we go show him some love, please, people. And big up to you, man. I know you're doing content again, so I'll drop you a line and we'll definitely collab, mate. Because it's been too long, man. It really has. But big up to you, Sean. I hope you're well, mate. Look, let's move away from Sesko, please. €10 million. I mean, we can't want him that much, can we? Yeah, let's just be real. We can't actually want him that much. If we're really desperate to want him, we'd be just paying the other €10 million. Wouldn't be mucking around with it. I just don't know what to believe with this. I just don't know what to believe with this. It's absolutely crazy for me. It really is. So that's Sesko. If we really do want this guy, we'll end up getting him. But if his wage demands and release clause is something that he's demanding, I don't think we should be. I don't think we should be. That's just my opinion. Oh no! Now we got some Madueke stuff from Miguel Delaney. What is happening here? What is happening here? I do not want this guy. Please do not get me this guy. Arsenal been speaking to Chelsea. Oh my God! This obsession with Chelsea has got to stop. Stop trying to buy their sloppy seconds, man. Arsenal been speaking to Chelsea about a potential move from Madueke. Chelsea want 50 million for the player. Some people said Martinelli's worth 50. This guy is nowhere near the level of Martinelli. It's not a price Arsenal want to go to right now. There's a possibility that a deal may be revived later in the summer. I do not want Noni Madueke at Arsenal, please, people. I do not want him. I would rather have Ethan Nwaneri coming on than this guy. I do not want this guy. 50 million they want for him, you know. They're jokers. We spend 50 million on this guy. There should be people sacked in the board. That's what should be happening. They should get sacked if we go and spend 50 million on Madueke. Oh my God, the guy is just not good enough, man. The guy is not good enough. He would not be an upgrade on Ethan Nwaneri. I'm sorry. There's nothing about that makes me believe that he's an upgrade on Martinelli or Ethan Nwaneri. Honestly, it's a good buy, Dan. Look at these Chelsea fans. They're like laughing. Oh, please get him. Please get him. This obsession between Arsenal and Chelsea's love affair, it just needs to stop. I'm sick and tired of buying Chelsea rejects. The only one that was half decent in this Arteta reign has been Jorginho because he come in and did a job. All the others have been awful. Havertz hasn't worked out. We've had in the Emirates area Willian, Sterling, Gallas, Cech, Lassana Diarra. I don't want any more of these guys. David Luiz. Honestly, man. 7 players that were 7 or 8 of these. And then we give them Giroud and Ashley Cole. You know what I mean? Petty and Fabregas go back and play well there. Like, what are we doing? Anelka. We have this. Oh, sick of it, man. Sick of it. Yossi Benayoun, another one. Do you know what? Actually, he didn't do too bad, to be honest. He actually got us Champions League football that year. He was quite pivotal in how we were playing. No, it's crazy. Sorry, man. I'm sick of it all the time. We get, Arsenal and Chelsea have got another link. Like, sick of it, man. Yeah, the only 2 players I want from Chelsea are Caicedo and Palmer. That's it. I don't want any of the others, man. I don't want any of the others. Sick of it, man. It's crazy. Why are we linked with this? Just absolutely mad world that we live in. I'm sick and tired of this absolute obsession, man. Absolute obsession that we've got. It's crazy. It really is crazy, man. Just absolute mad. Absolute mad. So yeah, look, it is what it is. And Arsenal still need a striker, people. If you're just joining in, make sure you hit the like. Make sure you hit subscribe. Because, yeah, I've got to be honest. It's going to go on for a while. This saga with the whole, in my opinion, the whole striker thing, I don't think we're going to be seeing it for quite some time. I actually think we're going to be in a position where we're still going to be talking about it in the next few weeks. Look, I hope it's Gyokeres. Like, I really pray it's Gyokeres. I want to see it as Gyokeres. I don't want to see, Sesko at the club. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Super chats. Before we go, Bikash says we spent 65 M's on 29. Madueke for 50 isn't shocking. Listen, 65 million pounds on Havertz was a disgrace. 50 million would be an absolute bigger disgrace, if I'm honest, than Havertz. At least Havertz won a Champions League and has actually delivered in Germany. Madueke's done absolutely nothing. Seriously, it would be a shockingly bad bit of business, that. Absolutely terrible. We need Saka back up, but I'd rather just play Ethan there and bring in Rodrygo that can play in both. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Listen, we're going to send you over to Saeed. Saeed's at the moment with a panel talking about Manchester United. They're losing their heads about Garnacho and Rashford and all this. It's funny. That's one thing we can do at the moment is laugh at Man United. Like, we're in a bit of a mess, but they're in an absolute hellhole. Let's be real. It's embarrassing. So big up for your super chats. Make sure you click now on the live chat, the link for Match Bingo, or scan the QR code up the top. Get your cards for this evening's games on the Club World Cup. Let me know if you win. Good luck. I hope you do. And go spam Saeed's chat, Dan Potts Raid, and show him some love. We're out of here. We'll see you next time, people.